welcome back to my lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective. We will be chit-chatting a little bit about how deep is your love? How deep is your love? I really need to know. No, I really want to know. I really want to learn, excuse me. So we're going to have that one, actually, a specific title I have for y'all tomorrow or after tomorrow, because we have some energies about. But how deep you love in general depends on the depth of the relationship you have with yourself and emotions and thoughts. As we discussed in our previous episode, what living a vibrant life means for a 5D mystic who lives the depths of the essence of love and life. I let you all in on the fun fact: when you own your 0 8-year-old, your subconscious unconscious, that's when you will know the depths of you, because you don't have child parts that are still charged. So even if you still have things come up, you are now very familiar with self-attuning, self-soothing, and self-regulating in your social engagement system, in your non-reactivity by choice. You have bilateral integration. You're teachable, anima mundi, for those of you who are mystics as well, and spiritual, you're connected to that pure consciousness source, God. For those of you who don't, it's consciousness, the neuroscience, physical, quantum physics world, however they call it, right? So in either and or all cases, you are a whole self with an integrated brain and or achieving that. So left and right work together. And that spiritually awakened can also simply be that you're awakened to your whole self, and that your child parts are not in structural dissociation. So child parts come up when a person is in a structural dissociative relationship with their 0 1-year-old, 3 to 7, and some have other ways they call the child parts. Okay, that's why when we meet facades, we know who they are. They're not the circle of life who creates with spirit or uses spirit as a guide. So they're not a crow that speaks the 5D language of unconditional love, and they're also not understanding that there is no sacrifice. We can witness and be a straight shooter when it comes to that which is here. So when my emotional, mental, and physical plane are coming up, I'm the owner, right? I'm the observer, witness, and narrator. So my mind on my left is a straight shooter, linear, but it's not an inner critic or an outer critic. I'm going to have the inner growth stuff, kind intention, mindfulness practices, right? I'm going to be able to witness in ease because I'm like, there's no physical danger. That's how you're in a relationship with the depth of yourself. I'm trying to say the ones who own their sense of self. Their child parts are not charged. They're not reactive. And even if there's still aspects that come up, you're working on them with wanting to be non-reactive. So you have plans, mindset, practices, exercises, things you do. And you're adding more, okay? And that is why we don't say we sacrifice. The human suffering love narrative is for the 3D, 4D collective. The ones who stay within the modulated embodiment. The Zen masters, for example, there said they don't play with their emotions. He has laundry. We have sadness, anger. Again, you're using prefrontal. We're fearless and bold, not by creating stories, but by taking the lead. And so you know that there isn't a right or wrong path when it comes to love, and that you are your own divine feminine and your own divine masculine. And then that people who are complementary and they are the same depth, that's where we got. So imagination is what leads you, and group thinking, so you know how to be with those who are healthy and emotionally deep and those who are not. So the part about your capacity to be in your emotions is that they overflow, but you know how to bring the authentic self. The ego is not one that rules in a way of being rigid, unforgiving, or harsh. That's for the adaptive child. Also, your ego doesn't die. I'm going to bring you a different way to understand this from the mystic perspective, because I know they talked about ego death. So that verbiage and that language actively in my personal subjective experience of witnessing people use these words and not do anything, meaning they haven't moved anywhere. They're spiritual bypassers. All the mystics that I've seen who continue to talk this way, they don't know how to love more. So relationships, the depths of you, the depths of the relationship is because you're continuing to present the true self, and you're not in an ego that says they have to be like me. Okay, so we welcome people with differences. A partner, lifetime partner, one or more, depending on if you're a monoamorous, monogamous, or polyamorous, not necessarily polygamous, secure attached person, you're going to know how I love to love, and my baby, he loves to laugh, and he loves to live, and he loves to learn, and he loves to expand and not cast stones. Okay, so when we feel deeply, and you feel like a person who loves completely, there isn't a characterological distinction or judgment, meaning the people who get rigid that you would want to consistently be around because they don't know how to regulate in their actual mammalian heritage as we are enjoying life. And so this is where it's not a race, but the people who take healing trauma seriously and who take mindfulness, living, and loving seriously and spirituality, they're the ones who are going to be here and they know what I'm talking about. Because why would you not tap into the infinite higher human conscious potential of you when you can achieve restorative embodiment? There makes no sense except for you want to hone in and stick to a pain point because you're choosing to want to protect. And so people who stay defensive, that's where I think of Bezel van der Kolk. And then I think of all the therapists I learned from, and therefore they're not learning how to do love. No, they're not becoming more love. They're just doing that same 16-year-old. In fact, that's why that fight response. As long as your brain is geared to being scared that somebody's going to hurt you, you are always on the defensive. Bezel van der Kolk MD. And as long as a person doesn't tap into that and say, I don't want to, I don't have to, as long as I'm physically safe, I can take that leap of faith. Okay, so we're going to go from here. You've understood the message, and the masculine is actually the one who is being opened up, well as the distorted feminine, to the opportunity to one, live this vibrant depth of one's own self, but then to be able and share it with another. And this is potentially what is a little bit more scary for people who come with a background of childhood not completely healthy, right? Not completely safe. You know your story, I don't. But at this point, we're talking in a way of you being whole, you're ready, you want more emotions. And I come with, I love love. I mean, there's nothing that would make me say no to it, except for if I'm not interested in you that way, of course. So the feminine, who embodies the empowered feminine, doesn't seek outside of herself in order to become whole. I'm already whole. My name's Maria. I don't need you to complete me. Okay, so I'll share from this perspective. I'm a teenager. I get my first teenage boyfriend. All the grown-ups are saying that it'll be the one love that I'll look to the past and be like, oh my God, it was my favorite love, you know. Now, granted, he cheated on me throughout the entire relationship. That didn't make me love him less. No. And he didn't make me traumatized about men, although I'm sure some people think that you're lying and we let people do whatever they want with their mouths. But from me to you, he didn't do anything except for show me who he was and who he, in fact, still continues to be. And so with that, I learned about that man, that young man, those people who lied, those individuals who made their, in fact, insecure human being choices, which to me was normal since we were growing up and the grown-ups had told us about peer pressure and low self-esteem and making choices. So I was choosing Maria and he was choosing him. And here's where you get taught about till death do part, sickness and in health, right? I learned that from my lovely catechism, which is why whenever somebody wants to tell me about faithfulness not being something polyamory people know about, I think, well, and you don't know polyamory means consensual non-monogamy too. You apparently don't know that this word in and of itself used in the ancient times makes me laugh, because I'm wondering if you're a securely attached 0-1-year-old, because you just presented to me something that I'm not going to really evaluate at all personally, because I don't find it fascinating that you bring to me the Scarlet Letter Times versus bringing to me something that's expanded. So granted, let me share a note or two. I love to love, and my baby, no, and I love to learn, and if he doesn't love to learn, then I'm nowhere near that. So intellectually, ask me what I love to do the most. I love to learn from people. All science, well, science, neuroscience, neurobiology. It's related to, well, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but then I usually come back home to that personal development stuff, even though I don't, when I'm learning about the infinite universe, for example, but it does connect to dark matter and dark energy, meaning it connects to this, right? So I get to expand how I come to you when I'm sharing with you about so there's like a bunch of planets in retrograde right now, okay? So 5D mystic here. Anytime any ascension stuff's come up, it keeps getting better and better. This is what the embodied feminine can tell you. There's no one day that I look to the past and say, "Oh my God, I'm so." I would no. The part about when you look to the past for the feminine, it's so one thing I was recently noticing is now that I look from now this year to the, I was like, oh shit. I gave myself little gifts along the way. Look at that. That's so cute. I built up not I built, I allowed myself to have little gifts that would give me, Maria, my oversoul. Like, I don't know how to, I could put it in words. I don't want to. I don't want to put it in words, but I'm just saying, I looked and noticed that I strategically gave myself gifts in a way that I would then be able to notice a petal of roses or actually a bouquet. No, wait a minute. Let me think. No, I don't want the roses. I'm going to say I want it to be a starry sky with warm weather and the ocean, and I'm on near a nice breeze, and I'm just there and with nice music and a candlelight and a book. I don't know. So anyways, you get the drift. Okay. So the part about if it is not the amount of action but the depth of experience that makes life rich and fulfilling. Thank you, Sadhguru. Also, nothing is predetermined, not even death. Well, everything has been created by you, though mostly unconsciously. Now, when I read this, I'm like, from this lifetime, I definitely know what I created. I wrote a lot in my books, and I own my unconscious. From my previous lifetimes, I also know. That's why when I look to the past, I'm like, look at that. So again, it's amazing, and that's what I'm trying to get to. So for the feminine, we don't have shit to say about our past, even though, of course, as we're moving along the journey, I mean, definitely there's things that I have consistently communicated about with God. Now, what I love to share with you all is this. So, number one, mystic or not, again, how deep you love depends on the depth of relationship that you have with yourself and with your emotions and thoughts. If you're a grown whole self, great. You're going to know what I'm talking about. So you're excited. You're not upset. Obviously, your past comes with you. So it's true. If you've had relationships that have made you blue, you're going to have that come up. But the part about using them, you won't, because that's unfair to the other human being, but it's also illogical. It's illogical, irrational, and you know what the emotion is. So while some people, they do need that therapist and more to move beyond things they will call post-traumatic growth, the ones of us who mindfully live and spiritually live don't look at it or feel it that way. Now, when I looked at that teenage boyfriend, the minute he broke up with me, I knew I was going to process it. Intuitively, your body already knows the truth when you're an empowered feminine, because there's no gut that is feeling, oh my God, somebody did me some wrong. It's my gut. No, I'm sad because he broke up with me. That's it. But I know that it's okay because future keeps going. I don't need to do anything different. Okay. And I also don't need to crap on people that did what they did, because why would I? That's petty. Also, it's a contradiction to me having loved the person. Okay, so when you are whole, you don't look to heartbreak as something that is now needing to be balanced in a way of ego. Empowered feminine leads with a heart that doesn't suffer love, but that processes it, which is why that rabbi, he's not a feminine. In fact, he doesn't know. It's not true that we will have pain in starting something new. We will have pain in seeing people not know how to love themselves. We will have pain in seeing people that don't know how to consistently love for real. And that's why I won't bring that story into the mix. the teenager, because a teenage boyfriend, there's a lot of things I could say, but to end our lovely episode with the note of when I meet up, always the family is my family. I was raised with them as a teenager, so that's the one thing I said. I said, you're not going to get rid of me. This is my family, so you're going to have to see me. And eventually we were able to make it all back to friendship, which made my heart really happy. In fact, the day I got the gift, I'll never forget, because on that same day there's this other thing, and there's that magic of balancing out that which comes in. Nothing ever gets taken from you. Well, I speak as a 5D mystic, so with the awareness that nothing gets taken from you, and also know, not because I surrender to anything. If you're a mystic, you have a direct relationship as a 5D one. So you don't have this way of feeling that you need to surrender because you're participating, and there's blind faith, the best word I can use. So there's not a question of what's happening. I'm physically alive, I'm emotionally here, I'm mentally here, I am processing whatever. There's a relationship. There's a part of that which is the experience of being human. It does not involve suffering. It involves love. It involves emotion for the mindfully living, spiritually living, whole self, who owns their self. The ones who have suffering, they experience it with we surrender. I hear that. That's why whenever I would hear that, I'm like, what are you talking about? Nobody surrenders. This is not how it works. But it was more of the empowered feminine that I am, okay, compared to those who are not in the empowered feminine. And now I'm saying my inner child. So my heart and my gut and my mind, they're in alignment with my whole self and my soul, if you want to use that too. I'm not a stickler for words that way. When you have a depth of relationship with all your child parts, they're not charged, and your higher self, and you, whether you have a relationship, you call it consciousness or spirit or source or God, you're not going to be, I don't want to love. It's going to be, I love, I still love. But for one thing's sure, he's not my number one of, oh my God, when I look back, I so wish that we would have stayed together. No, the minute he was broken up, I'm like, wow, she did me a favor. And then they would say, you let him get away. And I was like, he's not my dog. He wasn't my dog. And I also don't believe in having a dog, meaning, well, yeah, I'm a cat person, but also no man of, not that they're mine, but no human being that's going to be dating me is going to be on a if you're that easily taken, well, I mean, hey, that's great, because I didn't want to have to. No, because I'm a consistent person who knows what I'm wanting in life. That means you don't know what you want in life. So if you're insecure, I don't need an insecure person around me. A self that is whole and that is empowered will not be drawn away just by anything, because we have a flag post and a flag, and we're the ones who know what the wind is doing without needing to tell anybody about it, which is also why nobody knows. My twin flames don't know who they are. My soulmates don't know who they are. There's only one person who knows who he is in the future, and that's on purpose. But that's also because he welcomed every single bit of my mysticism without ever talking down to me, in my face or behind my back. Well, if he ever did behind my back, I don't know about it, but it's okay. Never my face, and actually, I don't think behind my back, because, yeah, I have a feeling. But I can accept to potentially be wrong. In the meantime, what I'm trying to say is he welcomed who I am and never once has made me feel awkward or unwelcome, or that I wasn't at home in being myself. And that's what love is about. It's about you welcoming me, and then us having actual, just authentic, always respectful, always, not just sometimes. So you don't talk down about my experiences, and you don't talk like you know what's what. People that don't know how to be empowered, they don't know how to do this. So for example, the lovely father of the teenage, whenever he sees me, because we meet up as a family, he will ask at times, so are you still half? The last time he did that, I was like, no, I'm whole. And he's like, oh, so who is it? I'm like, no, I'm whole. And I definitely won't be sharing with him the polyamory thing, because I think that would be really too much. Even when he sees my tattoos, he's like, okay, he's learned how not to say anything about it, but I know he's not in favor of tattoos at all. So anyways, at the end of the day, everybody can grow to understand some things, but the older folk, there's just some things that they don't grow to understand. So I'd rather not involve him in anything that he might not be able to understand. Also, there's, again, no need. But again, whenever he meets up with me, he always is curious, but not because he thinks I'm incomplete, because he would want to see me, because people think that you're going to be happy when you have somebody to share your life with, versus knowing that one is happy with one's life, and I have family and I have loved ones that share with me life. Of course, a secure attachment figure, every one of us will want at least one, definitely, but it has to be the right one. And it has to be the right ones for some of us. And that means consistently communicating from the depths of our soul and our self and our hearts. And people don't do that if they don't have whole selves. And you'll spot them like a hawk. Whenever I was recently reminded to make sure to remember to take that time, because you want to see men, women, and theys in groups. It's when they're in their groups that they're going to show their true colors. And it's going to be how they treat you. And how you treat me is important, because you're going to have to actually stand up when a person like me walks into the room, not because I'm me, but I am a mystic. And I am not that, I think I'm typical, but I don't know how typical anymore, because, at the end of the day, I'm so far removed from people who are not in. If you're on YouTube as a mystic, you know what I'm talking about. So for us, we get to be together and we get to know of each other thanks to this. But if we walk out in the street, there's a lot of different realities. So it's not something that for me is scary personally. But I know that when I've found myself in situations, a person that's next to me that won't stand with me is not my partner at all. So with polyamory and with mysticism, which I, by the way, take very seriously. Again, I allow the woo because that's me allowing. I like sciences and spirituality. But if we're out in public and you minimize what I do or ridicule or, that's going to be I'm going to have a tell. Anyway, so when you know yourself and who you are and you stand up for yourself, who's going to accompany you needs to be able to stand up for their self. And standing up doesn't mean we yell at people. It just means we stand together and we have a tone that will be very clear of teasing. We all tease each other. And teasing is, there's a tone. The tone gives it away. We'll talk some more about it. In the meantime, I will be leaving you with this again. How deep is your love? How deep is your love? I really want to learn because, and we'll talk more about this one tomorrow, as you know the depths of my very soul, you and I, and that is why love is amazing, because knowing each other's depths of the soul and then the heart and then the mind and then the self, and then to be able and work through, because trauma is relational. So remember, healing is with the secure attachment figure, because that's when you're really going to take a leap of faith and put yourself into a position. Even for me, I'm a solo poly because everything I built it so that I have exactly what I want. Person who would want to be in that mix, I'm not couple-centric, okay? If they want couple-centric, now we're talking logistics, right? So the part of being able to be very well aware of what it means to get involved. There's your 3-year-old. It's like, oh shit, I don't want to compromise. Maybe, no, I will. So the part is, it's fun. It's fun on the logistics side. The part that is more challenging for people who have fear, I don't, again, because I don't reject Maria. None of me is rejected. So when I've felt sad, it's because of knowing that it wasn't successful to communicate. And people have thought that it's because I have low self-esteem when I've been like, oh my gosh, I failed. No, I failed to be able to create what is a consistent, contingent flow of safe space together, which can happen. But then again, it's not on one person. Love is because two people want to share open-heartedly. And sometimes people are not ready or available at all, and they don't know it. So you will know if a person's emotionally available, because you'll also get really nervous. They'll get really nervous, but you'll keep talking about it. And the consistent communicating is what creates, but with open heart and open authenticity and so on and so forth. That's really clear. Again, we'll keep talking about these topics. We might have something later or tomorrow. There's some amazing energies about. Thanks for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe, and see you again soon.